Alright, ladies and gents, this is part 2. We have y equals 2x squared plus 4x. So, notice here we don't have a c here. The c is actually a 0. So you're going to do minus b, so negative 4 divided by 2 times 2 gets you a 4. So negative 4 divided by 4 gets you negative 1. So our first coordinate is going to be at negative 1 at some value up and down. So our vertex is going to be somewhere along the x equals negative 1 line. To find out exactly where it is, we use our graphing calculator. We'll zoom back in. So we're going to hit the y equals button and clear the previous problem. Then we're going to type in 2 times x to the squared plus 4x. And then we're going to hit our graph to see what our graph is going to look like. Then we hit second graph and we get our table. So our table is at negative 1, negative 2 is our vertex. So negative 1, negative 2. So our point, negative 1, negative 2, that's our first coordinate. Our next coordinate is 0, 0. 0 up, down, 0 left, right. And 1, 6. That means 1 to the right, 6 up. Next coordinate's negative 2, 0. And then negative 3, 6. And then we connect our points. We get our parabola. Alright, number 5. We have the equation y equals x squared minus 4x plus 1. So to find that vertex, negative negative 4 over 2 times 1 gets you 2. So 4 over 2 gets you 2. So our vertex is somewhere along the 2 line in the middle of our graph. We put it in our graphing calculator. So we hit our y equals button, clear it. We then hit our x squared minus 4x plus 1. Hit our graph button to see what the graph looks like. Then we get the table. So second table to get our coordinates. So we know it's at 1. So our vertex is at 1, negative 2. So we're going to plot that point. 1 to the right, negative 2 down. As you see here, 1 to the right, 2 down. We also then have 2, negative 3, 2 to the right, 3 down. We also have 1, negative 2, which we did, sorry. And 3, negative 2. 3 to the right, negative 2. Zero, 1. 0 up, down, 1 up. And then 4, 1. So our vertex is 2, negative 3. That's right, because 2 times 1. Good. So we 2, negative 3 is our vertex. So that's the answer to number 5. Alright, moving on, number 6. We have y equals negative 2x squared minus 8x minus 7. To find out where our vertex is, where our x value is, we do minus b over 2a. So minus a negative 8 gets you positive 8 over 2 times negative 2, which gets you negative 4. So 8 over negative 4 gets you negative 2. So it's going to be somewhere along the negative 2 is our vertex, somewhere up and down. Find out exactly where it is, we put it in our graphing calculator. We hit our y equals button and we clear. Let's zoom in. So we get a negative 2 Now that negative has to be in the bottom one, the one that's underneath the 3. You have to use that negative button. So negative 2x squared minus 8x minus 7. Now that's in the graphing calculator. You hit the graph button. You graph it. Let's see exactly where the coordinates are. We hit second graph and we get a table. Now we know our point's at negative 2. So negative 2 is our vertex. Negative 2, 1. So negative 2, 1. That's our vertex. Our next coordinate will be negative 1, negative 1. So negative 1, negative 1. And then 0, negative 7. 0 left, right, 7 down. The other coordinates, negative 3, negative 1. And the last coordinates, negative 4, negative 7. And we connect them up. That's the answer to number 6. Right there. Next up, number 7. So we have a negative 2 times x plus 1 squared plus 3. So our vertex is actually, this is vertex form. Vertex form actually helps us out to find the vertex a little bit easier. So you're going to take the opposite of plus 1 and you're going to go minus 1. Minus 1, positive 3. So you do the opposite of the inside of the parentheses. And then for your y value, you use the constant here at the end. So you go negative 1, positive 3. That's going to be our vertex. We then put it in our graphing calculator. So we hit y equals, clear it. And we're going to type in negative 2, parentheses, x plus 1 squared plus 3. Just like what you see there. We hit our graph button. That's what our graph's going to look like. Second graph, that's our table. Now our table, it's negative 1. That's our center, so it'll be negative 1, positive 3. Exactly what we did. Then we have 0, 1, and 1, negative 5. So 0, 1, and 1 to the right, down 5. Then we also have our coordinates down below. So that's what the picture is going to look like for number 7. All right, next up, it's going to be number 8. We have y equals parentheses x minus 4 squared minus 3. So our vertex is going to be the opposite of negative 4, which is 4, and then negative 3. So 4 to the right, down 3. We plot our point. That's going to be our vertex. In our graphing calculator, we hit our y equals button and our clear button. Then we're going to type in our equation. So it'll be parentheses, x minus 4, close parentheses, squared minus 3. Once we have that typed in, we hit our graph button. And then our second graph button will bring up our table. We know our vertex is 4, negative 3. So we go to positive 4. We're going to plot the points 5, negative 2, and 6, 1. So 5 to the right, down 2. And then 6 to the right, 1 up. We also have the coordinates 3 to the right, down negative 2. And also 2 to the right, up 1. That's the answer, number 8. That's our parabola. All right, moving on, number 9. Halfway through. So we have negative 2 times x minus 2 squared plus 4. So we know by now, vertex form, 2 to the right, 4 up, plot our point. We then type it into our calculator. Negative 2, parentheses, x minus 2 square plus 4. That's what our graph will look like. And here's our table. So it's 2 to the right, 4 up. We know our x value is 2. So we're going to also plot the point 1, 2, and 0, negative 4. One to the right, 2 up, and then 0, negative 4. The other coordinates, 3 to the right, 2 up, and 4 to the right, 4 down. That makes our U. And that's what the parabola looks like for number 9. All right, number 10. Y equals negative, parentheses, x minus 1 squared plus 4. So our vertex is 1 to the right, 4 up. Let's put in a graphic calculator. Hit our y equals button, clear it. Y equals negative button. Parentheses, x minus 1, close parentheses, squared plus 4. Hit the graph button. That's what it looks like. Let's find the table. We know it's 1 to the right. So our first coordinate's 1, 4. Then we have 0, 3, and negative 1, 0. So 0, 3. And then negative 1, 0. The other coordinates are 2, 3, and 3, 0. Then we connect them. That's what the parabola for number 10 looks like. Number 11. Sketch the graph of each line. So y equals 2x plus 3. Well, we know from earlier lessons that plus 3, that's our y-intercept. Whatever the sign number is at the end. And then we could tell this is our slope, so it's up 2 over 1. So we go up 2 over 1. Once we have that, we can make our line. And that's what our answer will look like for number 11. But in case if you forgot all about that with the y-intercept and the slope, you can also put it on your graphing calculator. So you hit your y equals, and we can type it in. Y equals 2x plus 3. Zoom in. Y equals 2x plus 3. And we can hit our graph button. That'll show us what the graph looks like. And if we hit second graph, we get a table, and we could plot those points. We had the points negative 1, 1, 0, 3, 1, 5, and we could plot all those points right on our graph. All right. So that's the answer to number 11. Next up, number 12. We have y equals negative 7/5 x minus 4. The y-intercept is at negative 4. Remember, anytime you put a fraction into the calculator, make sure you use parentheses around the fraction. So this will be parentheses negative 7 divided by 5, close parentheses, x minus 4. And let's do that right here on the graphing calculator. So we hit our y equals button, clear, parentheses, -7 divided by 5, close parentheses, x minus 4. That's what our graph's going to look like. Our table, by hitting second graph, we know it's going to be 0, -4. And let's go up to the next whole number. We're going to also have -5, 3. So we plot the point -5, 3 up. Connect those two lines. Boom. And that's the answer number 12. We went 5 to the left, 3 up, and we plotted that second red dot and connect them. All right, next is sketch the graph of the linear inequality. So we practiced these a little bit. We had some trouble, but now that we got a little bit better graphing lines, we should do a little bit better with this. So y is less than x minus 1. So -1 is our y-intercept. Our slope is up 1 over 1. So right here, what I'm making is your line. That's a slope of 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And the y-intercept is -1, so I plot a point at -1. Next, we have to figure out which side to shade. So what we do there, we put 0 in for x and 0 in for y. If this 0, 0 point, right here, I'll put it with a red dot. If that 0, 0 point is telling the truth, meaning we got a true statement when we put 0, 0 into our equation, that means this entire side gets shaded, this entire side of the line. If it's false, that means the other side is going to be shaded. So when I put 0 in for y and 0 in for x, is 0 less than -1? No, that's false. That means this 0, 0 point is not telling me a true statement. So that means I have to shade on this side of the line that we drew. And all these coordinates that I'm shading here in yellow are the correct coordinates. These are all the correct answers that will make this statement true. So the yellow shaded region is all our correct answers. All right, next up, let's talk about number 14. Number 14 has a y-intercept of -4, so we plot a point at -4. The slope is 1/3, so we go 1 up 1 to the right 3. But that will get us a positive slope, so we have to go to the left 3 to get us our -1/3. We can always double check that with the calculator. We then make our line. Then what we're going to do, we're going to test the 0, 0 point, which is that point which I highlighted here in red. We're going to put 0 in for x and 0 in for y and see if this statement's true. We're going to figure out if this 0, 0 point is telling the truth or if it's lying to us. Put 0 in for y, 0 in for x, 0 times -1/3 is 0. So is 0 greater than -4? Well, that's a true statement. 0 is greater than -4. So that means this guy here, that 0, 0 point, is telling the truth. We want to shade the side that's telling the truth. So we're going to shade everything going up here. You can make yours a lot prettier than mine. I'm just quickly shading it so you get the idea. So it's everything above the line that we drew for number 14. All right, next up is number 15. We have standard form. This is when we have to solve for y when we put a 0 in for x. So let's put a 0 in for x. 4 times 0 is 0. So y equals -3. So our y-intercept is at -3, so we plot a point at -3. Then we put a 0 in for y. 4 times x equals -3. We divide by 4 to both sides, and we get x is equal to -3/4. So that's approximately right here.